Welcome to Only the Truth. That's all you're gonna get. Let's get into it. Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad that you're following along with the messages that are literally from Yahweh. That doesn't make me special. That makes me somebody who's obedient, and it's that simple. I've been doing a series on ancient paganism equals modern religion, and Yahweh wanted me to let him talk to you a little bit just about the things that are real. Okay, I'm going to continue the series, and when I do, it's going to be a little bit more revealing about what's actually happening today and how that applies to where we are in the world today. But in the meantime, Yahweh would really like to speak to a few people and let it be known that he is paying attention. He's not deaf, he's not blind, and he is everywhere, and he does know. He hears and he sees, and he's aware of where you are and what's going on in your world. So with that said, I want to go to this point. Yahweh will never do what you're able to do. And the reason for that is because if Yahweh did something that you're able to do, he would only be equal to you in what you're able to do. Yahweh is not going to do what you're able to do. He made you able to do that yourself. So there's questions about, well, why doesn't Yahweh do this for me? Why isn't he listening to me? I've asked him so many times for what I ask him to do, and he's not doing it. So this is kind of an answer to that, and this is to some people I know are listening who have asked this question and wondered why Yahweh's not doing what he's asked to do, and his answer is this. Exactly what I just said. He will only do what he's able to do himself. He alone is capable of doing miraculous things. We are capable of doing physical things. We can do things that a physical person can do. There's aspects of a situation that we're in that we might be concerned about that makes us feel like, oh, we need Yahweh for this. We need Yahweh to do this for us. Or there's even those, you've probably heard the term, in fact, I know you've heard the term, there are those that are what is referred to as entitled, where, the millennials, so to speak. Oh, we're entitled. You're supposed to be doing this for us. We're expected, and if you don't do it, then doom on you, blah. Truth is, Yahweh made everybody able to do something for themselves, and to the extent that they're able to do it, he expects that. Only after we've extended what we're able to do and put ourselves to that extent of running out of us is he even going to show up. Once we've done all that we're able to do, then we're supposed to stand fast and watch the glory of Yahweh, because he doesn't do what we're able to do. He expects us to do what we're able to do. And I know this sounds redundant, and I'm doing it for a reason, because Yahweh is not going to show up to do what you've asked him to do until you've done what you're able to do. So again, I'm saying Yahweh's answer is this. When you have done what you're able to do, and given it everything you've got, including all of your resources, everything you've saved up, and everything all of you and your friends and your family are able to invest into something that you're asking Yahweh to do, then Yahweh will show up in a place where he's able to glorify himself and go, okay, they've done everything that a human and human group, a human family, human society, culture is able to do for themselves, which proves that that's the extent of their ability. Now, when Yahweh shows up, it's evident And everyone sees that he's the one that was able to go above and beyond what we're able to do. That's the epitome of him getting his glory. He said, I won't share my glory with anyone, and that's what that means. That means I'm not going to come and do what you're able to do, because you could easily take the glory for that because, oh, I did that for myself. And people will be, well, I've seen other men do that, so yeah, I believe it. You did that. Yahweh is not going to do something that you're going to get glory for, or any other man is going to get glory for. So at the extent of your rope, that's why a lot of people say, oh, I'm at the bottom of my rope, and Yahweh didn't show up until I was at the bottom of my rope. Well, that's why. He's not going to show up while you still have rope left to climb. He expects you to hang on, hold tight, and or climb, dig yourself out of a pit, and get yourself to a place where you're able to get yourself to before he's going to show up and do what you're not able to do. That's where he gets recognized as, so to speak, our God. He doesn't want to be our God. He wants to be our everything. He wants you to recognize him as the one who saves. That's why he made himself a man, to come and really divine to us that he saves from the trap of deception. He wants us to recognize that Lucifer wants to deceive us and keep us bound, keep us in the pit, keep us at the bottom of the rope with no hope. He wants us to ignore Yahweh and blame Yahweh for all of our failures. Truth is, Yahweh doesn't want you to fail. He wants you to try hard. See, the thing is, when you fall down and fail, he's not waiting for you to give up. He's waiting for you to get up and wait on him to do his part. Because once you've done your part to the point where that's all you got, that's where he shows up. That's where he shines. That's where he does his best work. And again, he's not going to do what you can do. He's only going to do what he's able to do. It's like he did when Lucifer pinned him on that satanic cross. X marks the spot. It's not Yahweh's cross. That's Lucifer's mark. I just crucified you. When Yahweh let Lucifer do that, that was him going, okay, you do what you're able to do. And when you're done, when you've exhausted all of your resources and your abilities, then it's my turn. And that's what he did. And that's what he asks of us as well. You do everything you're able to do, because I'm not going to show up until you've done that. So again, I encourage you, don't give up. Continue with everything you've got and everything you can bring together from your friends, your family, your support system, all of who, of course, believe in Yahweh, okay? No other religious system in the world is going to please Yahweh. Yahweh doesn't want religion. Yahweh wants you to pay attention to him and not pay any attention to anything else. That's where he shows up. When you're faithful to Yahweh only, Yahweh will be he'll be faithful to you. He's not going to be faithful to you if you're faithful to something else. That would be just like, imagine this. Okay, men, and I'll get to the women soon, and it could even be a flip-flop to where that the women are applied in this as well. So let's just go this way, okay, men and or women. And let's say this, your spouse goes and gets with someone else, and they're wined and dined and romanced and given jewelry and fragrances that are from that other person. Then they come home and they want to sit on your lap wearing the attire that was given to them by the other, wearing the jewelry that was given to them by the other, having smells and fragrances, spices and perfumes and colognes that is from the other, and immediately you're disgusted. You're like, you know what? You got to get away from me, because what you just did, you were unfaithful to me, you cheated on me, you did something that I don't approve of, I will not accept. Okay, that's the same thing that Yahweh says. You've probably heard even in the English scripture, where you hear that Yahweh says, I would rather that you were either hot or cold, because if you're lukewarm, I'll spew you out of my mouth. That's an English version of actually something that is true. It is written of in ancient scripture, but it's written a little bit differently, and it means this. If you show up on my lap expecting me to accept you and receive you, you need to show up on my lap with everything about me. If you have something else that's from someone else, I'm going to recognize that, and I'm going to cast you away. It's revolting to me. It's vile to me. So I would rather that you're either hot for me and sitting on my lap pleasing me, or I'd rather that you're cold for me and you're nowhere near me, far away from me, so I don't have to smell you, deal with you, see the stuff from who you're hanging with, so I don't have to mess with you. I don't have to even see it, feel it, or even pay any attention to it. But if you're lukewarm, that means you've compiled all of those things together from that which you're flirting with, being unfaithful to me, and you want to come sit on my lap and expect me to accept you while you're filled with the attire, the aromas, and the jewelry of someone other than myself. I'm revolted by that. So that's what it means to be faithful to Yahweh. Being faithful to Yahweh is a romantic statement. Yahweh's not saying, oh, I demand this of you. He's saying, just like he created us to have a romantic relationship with our spouse, he said that I have created you with attributes that are similar to my own. That's what that means. You don't get to be faithful to Lucifer and expect Yahweh to bless you or expect Yahweh to answer you. If you're not sold out to Yahweh, you're not his. It's just like my wife. If I was unfaithful to her, I wouldn't expect her to accept me when I come home from my mistress's place. If I was being unfaithful to her, to somebody, I would expect her to lock me out of the house and throw pots and pans at me. Okay, serious. Don't fool yourself, and don't let anyone fool you either. Yahweh expects you to be as faithful to him as you expect your own spouse to be to you. Don't expect anything less from him, and don't give him anything less than that. If you do, you're not his. That's his message to you. And in going on beyond that, Yahweh wants to go to another place. And here some time back, he gave me a vision, and it was actually quite profound. He had me to write it down, and when I did, it was all that I could do to keep my faculties. I wasn't actually able to write at the time, so I had to wait. But I did eventually write it down, but I have a great memory of it, and I'm going to describe it to you. Yahweh wants me to describe this to you because I know that there's probably somebody out there right now that may have something going on in your life that this is going to speak to you. So I'm just going to start by saying this. The vision was associated with my past because in the past, as I've mentioned to you, I have been an ordained minister for years and pastored for quite a while. And the vision started with me in such a place as that, where I had been pastoring a church, and Yahweh pulled me out of that and drugged me away and took me to another place that was filled with tumultuous journey. The terrain that I had to traverse in order to escape it was pretty extreme. There was a lot of like climbing stairs, and a lot of going up mountains, and climbing ropes and digging out of pits and finding my way out of ditches and that kind of thing, until I got up into this high place. When I got to this high place, I realized that I'm on just a normal plane now where I'm supposed to be. And it made me recognize that where I'd been before was actually in a pit. I was in a low place instead of on a plane of normal level, the grade of where normal land is supposed to be. That's not where I was. And I didn't know that until I got to the normal plane of where I was supposed to be. And then I recognized that all along I had been in this pit down below. And when I got to that place, I was accompanied by a representative of Yahweh, which some might call an angel. Personally, I like to call it an extension of Yahweh's intention, where he comes and meets with somebody and takes them on a journey and gives them messages and gives them information. He's done that with his people all throughout history. There's documents of him doing that. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I was met by someone who accompanied me on the journey that actually helped me get to that spot and then went with me. As I went along, what I discovered is that I'm on a very narrow path. This very narrow path is bordered on both sides by cliffs that went down on both sides. So there's this narrow path, and at the top, there's just this pathway. It goes straight, and it's a steep grade that goes down from that. And as we went along that path, we just conversed about things that didn't really seem to have any point to it until we got to a place where he said, look down there. And as I looked down below, there was like a valley down there. And what I saw was an establishment of kind of like a little village, if you will. It was kind of lit up and you could hear a little bit of noise going on down there. And he led me down there. He said, come and say. And I went down there with him, and we went around the back. We went in the back door to this place and came in, and we were walking through it. It was like a restaurant. And people were sitting all around at tables with menus open, and they were looking in the menu and ordering things from this menu. Well, this menu, I was perceived, because I was given the information from this, apparently an angel or whatever. I was given the information to let me know that they're ordering from Lucifer's menu. This is things that he has to offer. This is things that he has put in the world. Everything under the sun is on this menu. You name it, it was on the menu, and you could order from it. And people were ordering it, and they were just sitting there just gobbling it up and gobbling it up, gobbling it up. Well, we walked through there, and as we saw all of this, we came to the front of the place, we were going to go out the front door, and we were met by two guards, big, strong guards, that stopped us at a gate. And next to the gate was like a checkout counter with the guy behind the counter. And he looked at me and he said, you don't get to leave until you pay. And the angel touched me on the shoulder, and immediately my mouth spoke these words, I don't owe you anything because I didn't order anything off your menu. And he looked at me and looked at the angel and looked back, and he says, wait right here, I'm going to go get my supervisor. And Lucifer himself came back and looked at me, and he said, you have to pay. And again, the angel touched me on the shoulder, and immediately my mouth spoke these words, I don't owe you anything because I didn't order anything off of your menu. And he looked at the angel and looked back at me, and he says, you're right. You can go. Do it now. So as I turned, the angel grabbed me by the shoulders and turned me about, and I saw immediately those two guards that were standing by the door that stopped me there. They had grabbed someone who had ordered something and they couldn't pay. So what they were doing was, one was holding them, and the other one had this thing that was sucking his spirit out of him. And it put it in this clear jar and set it up on a shelf next to the checkout counter. And it was actually somebody that I recognized. I saw it was like a mist inside this clear jar. It was someone I recognized. It was that person's soul. They sucked it out of him and they put it in that jar and set it up on there. And he says, everyone pays. You don't get to eat at my restaurant and not pay. And then the angel grabbed me by the shoulders and led me out of there. And then the vision was over. What that meant to me at that time was absolutely monumental. It was groundbreaking to my understanding of how Lucifer works and what's actually going on in the world right now. And it has been literally for millennia. Lucifer has a menu. He has created things to offer people to get people to eat from his menu, and people continue to frequent his restaurants and order off of his menu. These are things that have become a staple. They're very popular. They're things people, oh, have you heard of this? You got to go and eat this. It's wonderful. If you eat at this place and you get this thing, it's just going to fill you up. It's going to make you so happy. You're going to be fulfilled. And you just can't believe it. You've never had anything like this before. People have been doing this literally for millennia. This is a spiritual message to us to let us know Lucifer is the deceiver of man. He is the persuader, the one who leads people under a trance to fall headlong into a trap and to go into a trench and to stay there and to believe that they're in the right place and even defend their position from anyone who would try to tell them, hey, you're in a pit. They'll fight somebody that wants to save them, you know, and that's why Yahweh told one of his prophets, Yahal, in the old scripture, but in the English, his name is Joel. He said, grab them and yank them out of the fire before they burn. If you have to scare someone to get them out of the fire, scare them to get them out of the fire. Basically what he was saying. He says, you grab them and yank them out of the fire. If you care about them, do what it takes to get their attention and get them out of the fire. If they're in the pit and they're about to drown in the water, grab them, pull them out. If they argue with you, are you going to leave them there because they're like, oh, don't save me, don't save me? If it's someone you care about, you're going to leave them in the pit? You're going to let them sit down there and drown? The water's coming up, the fire's coming up, whatever it is. You just going to leave them there? No. Are you worried about hurting their feelings? Oh, what if I offend them? Really? You're going to save them and worry if that offends them? Is it going to offend them that you save them? Maybe in this world it will. But you know what? On the other side of things, if you look at the other side of things, where it's about our eternity, if you save someone from Satan's pit, and here in the world, the process of doing that hurt their feelings, later they're going to be like, hey, thanks for hurting my feelings. Because ultimately what you did is you just saved me from an eternity with Lucifer. I appreciate that. What it looks like right now is, oh, that's politically incorrect. Yeah, it is politically incorrect by Lucifer's standards. He wants you to have that kind of a viewpoint. He wants you to, we hear all about this nonsense, all these new things coming up, woke. Really? Woke? That's not woke, that's asleep. That's the opposite of being woke. If you're awake, you're seeing Lucifer's tricks. He wants you to think you're awake while you're asleep. He wants you to think you can see while you're blind. He wants you to think you can hear while you're deaf. That's his tricks. He wants you to believe that he's right and Yahweh's wrong. He wants you to lose your connection with Yahweh so that ultimately he can rob Yahweh of you. Yahweh holds you in the highest regard. That's why Lucifer is so concerned about taking you from him. If you didn't matter to Yahweh, you wouldn't matter to Lucifer either. Get that through your head, okay? That's really where this whole thing is going. Yahweh cared enough about you to make a huge effort to make sure that he could tell you and warn you about what Lucifer was capable of doing. So for the most part, that's kind of what this video was going to be about entirely, is really about Yahweh letting us know that he will only do what he will do. And he expects us to be mindful enough to do within our own wisdom. He's given us wisdom to make the right choice. He's given us wisdom to look at all the options and see that there's good choices and there's bad choices. The wisdom that he gave us is to basically sort out all the bad choices, leaving only the good choice. The good choice is Yahweh. So that's the wisdom that we're supposed to operate within. And when you sit down and you look at a menu and none of the stuff on the menu is Yahweh, all of those things are bad. None of those things are the right choice, and you need to leave. You're in the wrong place. That's what you need to understand. Now, Yahweh is talking to someone right now. He told me your name. Your name is Devin. I don't know you from Adam. Yahweh does. Yahweh has heard you. Your name is not strange to him. Your world is not unfamiliar to him. Your issues are not a mystery to him. They're not a secret to him. Okay? He sees you everywhere you are, everything that's going on in your world, everything you think, say, and do. He knows. Okay? This is what he wants you to know. You're not lost. This isn't me making this up. It just happened right now. Okay? Devin, you are not lost. Yahweh is not unable to take you from where you are and bring you back to where you belong. You have not gone too far. That's what he wants you to know right now. Devin, you have not gone too far. Okay? Yahweh is able to save you. Lucifer has not destroyed you. He has not consumed you. He has not damned you. Lucifer does not win. You belong to Yahweh. Yahweh has allowed Lucifer to take you to a place so that you could recognize the salvation. Okay? There's no such thing as a victory without a war. In order for you to get the victory that you've asked for, you have to be willing to endure the war. All of the events of battle are important in order to experience the glory and the joy of victory. That's what it's all about. Victory is about fighting and winning against an enemy. And where Yahweh is concerned, Yahweh wants you to know that this is a battle that you would have lost by yourself. That he is powerful and triumphant to win on your behalf. Devin, you are not lost. Yahweh is going to pull you out of that, whether you believe it or not. All of your friends and family and everyone around you is just going to go, whoa, what just happened? How is that even possible? Yahweh wants you to know he has a plan for you, and he's going to reveal that to you as soon as he pulls you out of the place that you thought there was no hope. You thought there was no way for you to return from. Okay? So other than that, everyone has a place where they get to where they're asking a question: is Yahweh real? Is there such a thing as God? The one that we can actually ask? Can you help me? Will you help me? The truth is, yeah, there is. There is such a thing. But the world has been taught something wrong about who that is and how to address that. And it comes down to this one thing. His name is not Allah. Okay? His name is not Muhammad. His name isn't Buddha or any of those other nonsense things. His name isn't Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh. You call him Yahweh, he will answer. You call him anything else, he's ignoring you. That's the truth. That's what he wants you to know. And that's why we're here today at a place called Only the Truth, because Yahweh wants you to know only the truth. So there is more to come, and I hope you follow up, because I've got at least one more video to follow up on the series of ancient paganism equals modern religion. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. So stay tuned. Anyway, in the meantime, see you next time.